Hello, this is Jay, and in this part we're going to go through and create the rig for the neck and the head, and also the eyes for this character. So what we've got here is pretty much an FK setup for the neck and the head. Some aim constraints happening for the eyes. We're also going to add dynamic parenting so we can have the head follow the torso or the cog or the world. So if I just show that, so at the minute the neck and the head is following along with the rest of the body. And again, this is just FK driven, so just rotations. And what we're going to also set up is the ability to switch this so it follows certain aspects of the body. So if I set that torso now and I rotate the head, you can see the orientation of the head stays fixed unless I'm working from the torso. So if I select any of these, this follows along still, but we can change that again so it follows the COG, so it only follows this now. Again, if I select these torso controls, the head now again stays fixed, so he can be quite, when he's getting into a fight, he's looking someone in the eye, and the beady eye. And same again, we can set it to world, so now if we move the cog control even, it doesn't take the head with it, or doesn't take the orientation of the head. And I've done something similar with the eyes, so I'm just going to pop that back onto neck. So the eyes at the minute will follow along with this. If I turn the wireframe on, you see that better maybe. And this at the minute is going to follow the head, but we can switch that to follow the world, and it's only got head or world on this. But now the eyes, you can see, are staying fixed to that control, so we get a creepy guy happening, creepy guy syndrome. Okay, and we've also got a jaw control. Again, there's no skinning happening here, hence why we've got some crazy stuff going on, what it looks like, but we've got a jaw control in there, and then just, these standard controls here. Okay, so that's the plan in this part of the tutorial today. Okay, so in this part we're just going to jump straight in and pop the joints in for the neck and the head. So I'm just going to hide the low res geo for now and bring back the main mesh. I'll just template that so we can see through the model. So I'm going to continue the chain from this point here, but I'm going to do it as a new chain rather than carry on from this chain. So I'm going to go to skeleton joint tool. I'm going to hold down the V key to turn on snapping, so my joint snaps to the same position as this one here. But I'm going to click here for the first click just to create the new chain. Okay, so you can see it's popped there, but it's a new chain here. Now I'm going to make my second click. Again, I've let go of V key now, so I'm just left mouse clicking on its own. I'll pop this one maybe around here, I think. Maybe there, maybe here. That should be fine. Actually, I'm just going to back it up slightly to there. I'll just use the backspace there to go back. There you go, maybe something like this. And then I'm going to hold the shift and click to create a straight joint at the end, and that's just going to allow me to twist with one axis of the head joint. Okay, so with those in place, if I select these now and just rotate them forwards, you'll notice that it's rotate Z or negative Z is giving me the forward flexion. I want that to be positive X. If I select these and rotate them, that's going in the X, so we want to match that there. So I'm just going to select the root joint, go skeleton, orient joint, and turn that off, and I want to set this to X here. Hit orient, and that's now going in the positive X. I should have mentioned this last time actually. By changing that to be positive X, giving us flexion here, what it's also done is it's changed the translate Y to be the length of the joint now. So instead of being the translate X, that's odd. Instead of being the translate X, it's now translate Y is the length of our joints. Same with the FK spine that we got up, and same with the arms later on, the legs. So I'm just going to select this quickly, and just to stop it being at a funny angle, although it's not going to do anything, it's just a visual guide. I'm just going to pop that to that. Okay, just to straighten it up. And again, we could delete that joint because the rotation is going to happen from this point, and just use that as a visual cue. So I'm just going to quickly come in here and rename all of these to be neck A underscore JNT, copy that, neck B, this can be head JNT, and this can be head end underscore JNT. And while we're here, I'll just pop a jaw joint in as well, and the eyes while we're here. So skeleton joint tool, and I'm going to left mouse click around here maybe. For some reason it's drawn it really small, which is odd. Oh, that's why I'm in perspective. Just going to undo that with the backspace. Okay, so in the side view, left mouse click just in front of the ear. I think it's a good place. And again, with this joint we could draw just one joint because it's going to happen from here, the rotation, but I just like to visually picture it as a jaw, so I put the extra one in, although this isn't going to get skinned or anything, although you could skin it, it's just I just like it again visually. So I'm going to call this jaw A JNT, jaw B JNT, and jaw end JNT. And I think I'm just going to parent jaw A directly underneath the head joint. And we could have done that with constraints, but oops, why have you... Okay, it's odd. There you go, that's centered now. For some reason you can see where it popped it. Just bring that back. Okay, so that's in place. Again, I just want to check the rotation of this. It is going in the Z again, so let's fix that. Skeleton orient joint tool, and turn that off, set that to X. And now we're going, oops, let's just check this. So now we're going in the X. Okay, cool. So that's that in place, and I think I will just do the eyes while I'm here. So I'm gonna just check these eyes. I think to begin with, they're not looking straight out, or they've been frozen the orientation, but you can see that they're slightly off. So what I'm going to do is just going to rotate that so it's straight. The reason I'm doing this is when I add the controls later on, or the aim constraints, I find it easier to do if it's looking straight out, and then the animator can pop it to one side if he wishes to. But yeah, I just find it easier to rig when it's going straight out, or the aim constraint ends up somewhere around here in an odd angle. So around, I think 5, clean that up slightly, maybe 5.5. That should be fine. I'm just going to modify freeze transforms that so it is going pretty straight, and I'll do the same for the other side. So it's going to be minus 5.5, was it? Oh no, it's positive 5. And again, modify freeze transforms. Okay. So, oops, I'm just going to hide this geometry here. What I want to do is I want to create a joint from the center of this position to the tip of the eyeball, really. So coming out like this. So I'm just going to create a polygon primitive sphere. It's just going to make it easier to snap a joint to. And it's somewhere down there. So you can see it's all the way down there. And I'm just going to select this sphere first, or the eye. Select this one here and go constrain point, constrain orient, so it snaps into place. So there's the new, well, there's that sphere I just created. And I just delete these constraints now. I did that with maintain offset turned off, so it snaps into place. So there's my sphere. And now what I'm going to do is just scale it up slightly, and also rotate it in the X by 90, just to okay, so there's my eyeball. So I'm just going to delete now these two underneath, so I've just got this here. And what I'm going to do is, yeah, again, I want to do it from the center of this. So I'm just going to come to the display and go display handle. That should turn this on here. So I'm just going to snap now from that crosshair to this point here. So skeleton joint tool, I'm holding down the V key, snap, go to shaded mode, maybe wireframe, holding down the V key again, snap to that point there. And again, maybe I'll leave this actually, because that can be pretty useful. I'll just pop that underneath. Just call it, oops, left eye outer for now, will be fine. I'm just going to duplicate, actually I'm going to modify, I'm just going to freeze the scaling for now, I'll leave everything else. And I'm just going to duplicate that and pop it over to the other side with a minus. I'll call that one right eye outer. Just pop both of these under this. Okay, so that's my joint changer there. Oh, turn that off, turn this off. Okay, so that's my my left eye joint, and again I want the X, although it doesn't really matter for the eye, I guess, because, oh yeah, it could do. I'm just going to pop it to X as well, just to keep things the same. And I'll rename this to be, let's call it left eye J and T, and left eye N J and T. Now, usually I would, when I mirror joints, I would use the skeleton and mirror joint tool, but for the eyes I tend to just duplicate this and then just pop a negative in, so that's fine. And I'll just rename this to be right, and again right. So with these two, I'm just going to parent them directly under the head as well. So there they go. So now the head will take everything. And that's all our joints in place. I think next we'll chop up the geometry, and then after that we'll build the controls. Okay, so we're going to chop up the geometry next, so I'm going to enable the, well, I'm just going to unhide this by hitting Shift H. I'm going to hit Control D to duplicate this, and Shift P to bring it out of the hierarchy, and just pop that into a new layer for now. It's fine, that can go, that's what I want. So I need to find out where this ended, which was here. Let's just reference these two, and I'm going to delete all the faces around. Donk, that can go, and you can go. I'm just double clicking these faces so it selects the entire set. So that's our head, geometry. I'm just going to call this temp for now and just put random bits and bobs in, just hide them. My skeleton, I'll pop that into the joint layer, so I can't select that anymore. I should create a layer for the controls as well. I'm just going to go disable NURBS curves for now. Okay, so that's the geometry of the head, and I'm going to do the same again where I just select just the entire sets of loops. I need you, and probably the other side, and go mesh extract again. So mesh, 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 polygons, mesh, extract, and same again for the next set. So just double click that, or sorry, just click one face, double click another, select the entire loop, then shift and the full stop button to grow the selection. And where do I want to chop this? I think I'll take all of you. Maybe I'll take all of that there. That looks fine. So edit mesh, oh sorry, mesh, extract. And I think while I'm here, I'm probably going to take off the jaw. I think I gave him, yeah. What I'm going to do first is I'm just going to delete the inner portion of the the mouth because I don't think we'll need it for the low res geometry. So I'm just selecting an edge loop, make sure it's not part of the lips, and then I can chop that part off. So I've just got this, and I'm going to do the same for the inner portion of the eyes as well. I don't think we need that geometry. Just take these two for now and hide them, just to lighten this up slightly. Oops. You can go and then donk. Okay, so now I want to take off the jaw. Just split it. Maybe here. Just doing a bit of guesswork here, making sure I've got everything I want. And I might get lucky. Maybe I'll take... just want this inner set. So again, this bit can get a bit tedious having to do this, so again, if you want to speed it up with the odd script here and there, then feel free. Okay, so that should be fine. Okay, that looks okay, so mesh, extract. Okay, that looks fine. So I'm going to select all these parts, Shift P to bring them out of wherever they are, edit, delete by type history to get rid of any junk, and just rename these quickly. So this can be head, proxy underscore geo, it's going to be jaw, this is neck B, and neck A. Okay, and that's all going to go directly underneath the joints. So I just unreference that. Parent new to you, this to neck B, this to the head, and then this can go to the jaw. Hopefully I had the jaw selected there. Oops. No, I think I popped under the head, it seems. So to the jaw. There you go. So hopefully if we rotate that, we get a really what I'm also going to do actually is I'm going to take those eyes I made earlier and just call these proxy for now. And I'll just parent this directly under the eye joints, just so we've got something to look at. So unhide them, Shift P, and parent these. So right eye can go under. Oops. Under that, and this eye can go under that joint. So now the entire head doesn't take everything. Okay, right eye is under head. There we go, yeah, it's fine. So that's the head going. Let's just check the neck. Neck takes everything. Neck B takes everything else, everyone together. Okay. Let's just do the jaw at the same time test. Okay, so that's all parented up. Actually, what I'm going to do last thing is just to quickly color code these. So let's just give them all a nice color. Sign, favorite material, Lambert, and I'm just going to steal the. I'm just going to take the naming convention I've got from here and just paste that here. So this can be head, low res, and I will, I don't know, make this a darker blue. Assign a favorite material here. L underscore for left side. Left side I usually do as green. And assign new material again. Favorite lamb. This can be the R. And that's going to be red. Okay. Actually, I'm going to do a paler red, I think. And a paler green. And that's the, again, everything on the right is going to be red. Everything looks a bit scary actually with the eyes. That's fine. Okay, so next we'll create the controls for the neck and the head very quickly using the script. Okay. Okay, so this time we're going to create the controls. Actually, before we do that, I think these eyes are kind of freaking me out. So I'm just going to give them the head low res. There we go. Feels safer now. Okay, so we're going to create the controls for the neck and the head and the jaw. I'm going to pop to the side view. I'm just going to take this geometry and hide it for now. I'm just going to add it to the low res geometry and the two eyeballs. Okay, so we want to create a control for these joints 1, 2 and 3, and also the jaw joint here. So 1, 2, 3 jaw joint I've got selected. I come into my script editor and just minimize that slightly. And again, I've got the create controls Python script here. It's set to orient at the minute, so I'm just going to change that line to be, sorry, set to parent at the minute. I'm going to change it to be orient. Okay, so with those selected, run the script, and we have our controls somewhere. Oh, I've got NURBS curves turned off, that's why. Here we go, so we've got our controls here now. We still need to create the hierarchy because these are going to be a bit iffy to begin with because they're not mimicking the FK chain. Okay, so they're all a bit funky. So again, very quickly we can, if I just open these up, first I need to take jaw A offset and parent that under head control. Bump, and take head control offset and parent that under neck B control. Then neck B control offset, and that's going to go under neck A control. So here's our hierarchy now. If I bring up the low res, see I can select that, take the head, select this one, and so on, and so on. So we can't select the controls yet because they're tiny, but we'll do that now actually. I'm just going to hit F8 to go into component mode, which has been really weird for me lately. And then I'm just going to reshape these. So scaling this, again I'm in component mode here now, so I can do what I like. And again, you could spend plenty of time on these, but just trying to get them done. So this is the head joint. I'm going to pop that all the way up here, I think, and give them a halo. Actually, that might be quite weird. Still looks a bit like a halo, but that's fine. He's a good chap. Okay, jaw joint. Just wing it out here. We just pop in front of him, like so. And F8 to come out of that. So these are our controls. Okay, and we need to hook this up to the rest of the body, because as you can tell, it currently does not do anything. So what I'm going to do for that is I want to keep my head separate from the hierarchy of the controls. So I need to connect this control here, the neck A control. I need that to carry the head or the neck A joint. So I'm just going to select the neck A control, which is just this one here. Control select neck A joint, and then go constrain. Oops, wrong menu. Constrain point, add. So now this control will take the head. Now I'm not going to actually use that control to translate the head off, because these are going to be hidden later on. Okay, so it's just the rotates that we want. But once that's done, I'm going to take neck A control offset and parent that directly underneath chest IK control. So now once that's done, hopefully this will carry the head. Translate. And this should take everything. There we go. So that's all working fine now, and the head follows. I'll take all of this. Okay, cool. And we can carry on that rotation all the way up here. You can even take that. So everyone's, all the rotates are working in the same direction as well, which is what we want. Okay, cool. Right, so neck A, J and T, I'm just going to hit Control G and group that now. And I will rename that to be head J and T GRP. I'm going to pop that together with spine J and T GRP. I'm going to select both of these, hit Control G, and just call that torso J and T GRP. Why not? Just pop it all in there for now. That's fine. Okay, so that's, just want to check it takes everything, which it does. Cool. Donk. Donk. Yep, everything looks fine. And next we'll add the eye controls. Okay, so we can carry these eyeballs as well. So at the minute they should follow these joints, which they do. I've got a joint selected. We're just going to set up a couple aim constraints to hook them up. Okay. Okay, so now we're going to do the eyes, and we're going to drive these with aim constraints. Actually, before we continue, if I look at this eye joint that I've got selected, you can see that up and down is going in the Z direction, or the Z direction, and I want to make that Y. So I'm going to quickly bring these eyeballs out, just unreference that, hit Shift P, and then I'm just going to change this around so Y is going up and down. It's just going to make the aim constraints easier to, the eye aim controllers easier to understand in the graph editors. Y's up and down. So skeleton, orient joint, and we just need to orient joint to the world. Same again here. G is the last command, so that's fine. So that's that. Let's then parent this geometry back underneath. P, so geometry, joint, P, and create the controls. So I'm just going to go into the front view, and I'm going to create pretty much a locator out of a curve. So create CV curve tool, set to 1 linear, which is what I want. I'm going to turn on grid snapping. I'm just going to snap from down going up to the center, to the one side, then the other, back to the center, and in the top view I'm just going to again do the same again, so going out again, so I get hopefully some kind of cross. Okay, so that's going to be my main control, so I'll just call this LI CTRL, and I'm going to hit Control G twice to create these groups. It's going to be the auto, it's going to be the offset. And with that offset selected, again I've got the offset selected, I'm going to parent that directly underneath the eye joint. P0 at the translations, and then Shift P to bring it back out. Now I should be able to drag it on the Z-axis. Oops, where'd that go? Oops, I've got that turned on still. On the Z-axis to put it in front of the character. Okay, and I think that's fine around there. Maybe just 50 to be clean. So I'm just going to duplicate this control now, the entire hierarchy. So Control D, and rename this to be the right side. Okay, and hopefully I should be able to just put a negative in front here, and that should be the same, all lined up with the other eye. Okay, and I'm going to do one more control to surround both of these. So I'm back in the front view and create CV curve tool. Again, I'm holding X for grid snap this time. Just create a box. Enter. Rename this one to be eyes. CTRL. Control G twice again. Underscore auto. Underscore offset. And I'm going to parent. Well, I'm going to point constrain this offset control underneath these two here. So the two eye controls that we've got. Constrain point, and that's just going to snap it into place. Then we can delete this. Now the orientations should all be the same anyway. So, okay, so that now, if I hit F8 to go into component mode, I'm just going to scale this to surround the character a bit. Okay, so that's the main eye control that's going to take these two with it. So next comes constraining the joints here to the aim constraints. So that's going in the Z. Let's check the joint. That's in the Z as well. So go constrain. Bum bum bum. Aim. Oops, actually, what was the selection? So select the control first, then the joint. Not sure what I did. So I'm just going to reset this. I want my aim to be in the Z or Z, depending on where you are. Y is the up. Hit add. That should be done. There we go. That carries the eye, and we can turn on the wireframe to see that. Same for this side. Control, joint, constrain, aim. Everything should be fine. It's the same. So aim vector is 1 in the Z. Okay, so now if I take both of these, hopefully both eyes are off. And if we select the offset groups for both of these, parent them underneath the eyes control, then this should now take both eyes. Okay. If we do this though with the head, we get crazy eyes or madman eyes. So next I think we'll look at creating some dynamic constraints where we can have the eyes follow the head. So this will be pretty much following the head, and then have and then break that so we can create Mr. Creepy, Mr. Angry. And we'll do the same with the head actually. We'll create some dynamic parenting, so the head will orient with the torso and with the neck, and then sometimes it will stay fixed like so. So if it's doing a walk like an Egyptian thing. Okay, so we'll do that next. Okay, so this time we're going to create the ability for this to be following the head sometimes or follow the world sometimes. So we, again, like I mentioned before, creepy eye syndrome, we can turn that on and off. So to do that, I'm going to create two locators, which are here, and just going to rename the first one to be eyes, head, follow, underscore lock. And the next one, I'm going to hit Control D to be just eyes, world, follow, lock. Okay, so I'm going to select both of these and parent them under this control here, hit P, and then hit 0 out the translate and the rotate channels. Okay, and then Shift P to bring them back out again. So here they are, in the right place. So I'm going to parent one control to the head here. Bonk. Just going to hit F to find that again quickly. And I'm going to leave the other control where it is. So now I'm going to take both of these controls, head, follow control, eyes, world, follow, lock. Sorry, eyes, I'll start again. Select eyes, head, follow, lock, and then control select eyes, world, follow, lock. And then we want to find eyes, control, auto, which is that group that sits in between how this control got there and the NURBS curve that we see. And go constrain, parent. Donk. So now the auto of this control, if I hit up on the keyboard with the control selected, that will pick walk me up. You can see it's following both the these locators here. Okay. And if I take the head, you can see it's taking this halfway because it has both locators have 100% strength. If I pop this onto 0 for the world, that control will now follow this locator here, which is parented to the head control, and hence we don't get creepy eye man anymore, because the eyes follow along, and we can still take this and offset it, and this will always follow with it. Okay, if I set that to, just undo, if I set the auto to be following the world, pop that onto 0 for the head follow, we do get creepy eye man again. Okay, so we can turn this on and off. So I'm going to add another attribute onto this control. So edit, add attribute, and I'm going to call this head follow, or eyes follow, makes more sense I think. Eyes follow. I'm going to give it a float, do I want? I'm going to give it an enum, and I'm just going to call this to be head, and this one can be world. Add, close that down, so we've got this now with head and world. And now I'm just going to go animate set driven key set, and this is where we can make connections or have multiple objects drive something else. So I want to take in with me the constraint, because that's what we'll be turning on and off. I'm going to load that as the driven object, so it pops into here. These are the two that we want to play with, and then I'm going to load this control because this houses the driver here. We're going to use this to drive these two weights here. So load driver. So we've got eyes control, eyes follow. Now eyes follow is currently set to head. So if I come and select this parent constraint here, I want to set my head on and the world off. If I highlight these two and hit key, that's going to set a key here. And then I'm going to do the same again to world. So world this time, eyes follow, come into here and reverse these numbers around. Oops, there you go, hit key. So now this is set to world, so the eyes should not follow along, but then we can set this and change it to head, and now the eyes will follow. Okay, so that's how we've got the dynamic constraints going with the eyes. I'm going to 0 this back out now. It's on the control, and I'm going to just hide these locators. What I'm going to do with this locator is actually hit Control G and group it, I'm going to call this world follow lock grp. Okay, and then there's going to be a few of these later on. We'll do the next one for the head actually, where we can get the head to follow the world, or follow the neck, or follow the torso. Okay, and maybe the hip. Yeah, we'll do that as well. Okay. Okay, so now we're going to do the same sort of thing but to the head this time. So I'm going to create some locators. Oops. Create locator, and I'll call this one, it's going to be head, neck, follow lock. I'm going to hit Control D to duplicate that and call this one head, torso. And you can do as many or as little of these as you want. Duplicate that again. This one can be called head. I'm going to do it to the cog, COG, and one more which is going to go to the world. Now with all of these, I'm just going to parent them directly underneath the head joint. Hit P for parent, 0 out the value, so that's in place, and then Shift P to bring them back out. Now these are tiny, you can see them there. I'm just going to scale them up here with the local scale, just so they're easily selectable if I need to. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to constrain the head auto control. Just find here, if I frame it, hit the F button, to these 4 locators. So select the head auto, select these in order: neck, torso, cog, world, head auto control, constrain, and we want orient. Add. And now I'm going to add a control here, or an attribute onto this head control to drive everything like we did the eyes, and I'll call it head, follow, and first one's going to be neck, then we've got torso, then we have the cog, and lastly we have the world. Okay, here we go, these are the drivers. I'm just going to select the constraint here, go into the set driven key window, here they are, and then I'll load this control as the driver. So currently our head follow is set to neck, so if I pop that to neck as is 1, so everything else is turned off. Highlight the head follow, highlight these 4, key, let's switch that to be torso, let's switch this, torso is now on, key again, cog, turn that off, turn cog on, key again, and lastly we have the world. So you are off, you are on, and key again. So now all we've got to do is parent these in the right places. So I'm going to parent the head, follow, neck underneath this control here. I'm going to parent the torso underneath this control, the cog under here, and the world's going to go into the world follow lock. So now let's see, we're set to, let's just turn it on to neck, so everything should work as normal as we had before, which it does. But if we now switch to torso, if I rotate the neck, you can see the head doesn't follow. If I rotate the torso, it does follow. But again, the neck, this one, and the one above, it doesn't do anything. If I change that to be cog, and again the neck has no effect, this control has no effect, this control even has no effect. None of these spine controls do anymore, but this control should, which it does. And lastly, let's change it to world. So now again this, nothing, neck, I'm guessing nothing, this one, nothing as well. So that's our dynamic setup for the neck. Take taken care of. And again, we can do some funky things with this. If I set it to torso, actually no, if I set it to, oops, what am I doing, to cog, and then rotate the torso, you can get some cool things happening pretty quick. Like a bit of attitude. Cool. Okay, so I'm just gonna pop that back onto neck, and last thing we'll do next will be very quick. It's just going to be a bit of clean up in here, just to keep things organized. Okay. Okay, so I'm just going to tidy up a few things and clean up some channel control bits and bobs. So I'm going to select the neck, both neck controls, the head, the jaw control. Actually, what I'm going to do first is select these 4 locators. I've just selected all 4 at once, pop them back to 1, and then just hit Control H to hide them for now, so you don't accidentally move them. So again, back to these controls, and these are all just rotation controls, so I've got all 4 selected. I'm just going to hide the translate and the scale, lock and hide. Pop, they're gone, and I think I will color code these as well. So I want to, object display, drawing overrides, enable overrides. I think for this control, should we carry on the yellow theme? I think, yeah, we'll carry on the yellow theme, going down the center of the spine. And they're all fine, they can all stay as they are. Then maybe this control here, I will change that to yellow, wherever that yellow may be. And this one is the left eye, so that can be green. And this one is the right eye, so that can be red. Okay. Cool. So that's that. Oh, and also this thing here, I don't think I'm going to be rotating it. That might just be odd. Actually, maybe I will. So let's just hide the scale for all of these. So if I select all of these, lock and hide the scale. Okay, so that's that taken care of. Next is the outliner, and I just want to get rid of some of these groups. So I think I'm going to just pop eyes control offset. So I'm going to pop that under, that's all joints, that's control rig. Oh, I haven't got a global SRT yet, so I'll leave that for now. And soon we'll create the global SRT and we'll tidy more up. But I will get rid of this for now because I'm not using it. Okay, so next time we'll hit the shoulders and the arms. Oh, here, yeah, we'll start hitting the shoulders up to the arms. We won't do the hand, but we'll get some FK IK setup happening in the arms. Okay, take care, see you then.